Hello. I have a question about forgiveness. My mom transitioned 6 years ago, and before she passed, I was so mad at her.
Yeah.
And when she died that morning, I wasn't mad anymore. I missed her, but I wasn't mad. And so now I want to know why it was so easy to forgive her, and I also would like to know how I can forgive myself.
Well, you're going to really enjoy this conversation, and it's going to be so helpful to everyone who's listening in. So we want to start first by asking you if you remember what we're talking about being in the receiving mode. Can you feel what being in alignment with who you are feels like?
Yes.
And can you feel how being mad at someone is not being in alignment with who you are? When you're mad at someone, you're in that sort of a receptive mode. We have said from time to time, don't think too much about this, but we just want to lay this down as a soft beginning place, that sometimes people say to us, Abraham, do you forgive me, or are you forgiving? And we say, we never forgive anyone because we haven't condemned them to begin with. We didn't leave this to go down here, so now we don't have to go back up here. That's all forgiveness is. Forgiveness is just letting go of this and allowing yourself to return to who you naturally are. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
So, we want you to hear this in a way that you have never heard anything as clearly. So we're going to speak slowly and maybe even loudly, because we really want you to get this. And it ties into what we were talking about earlier about reacting to things. So you and your mother were having this thing where you were reacting to each other all of the time. And when she reemerged into pure positive energy, she stopped spewing that stuff that you were reacting to. Did that help?
Yes.
Did you understand what we just said? In
Yes.
other words, she was part of all of that, but when she reemerged into non-physical, she left behind all the things that she was stewing over, or troubled over, or worried about, or fussing about. She left all that behind, and she became a different vibration. And in the absence of that other vibration, it was easier for you to do the natural thing of reemerging. Not only that, not only did she let go of all of the negative, she became pure positive energy, and she was focused with you. Pure appreciation of that which you are. And that's why, especially in those early days, immediately following all of that, you felt the relief of letting go. So, being in alignment, the analogy that we've offered is effective. You always understand it. Is imagine a cork bobbing up here on the surface of the water. And let's, for the sake of this analogy, call that alignment or pure positive energy. You can hold that cork under the water, but when you let go of it, it's going to bob right back up there because that's what is natural. And so, same thing. When your mother made her transition, she bobbed right back up there. And it also made it easier for you because, like so many, like almost everybody, like everybody to some extent, you were living a sort of conditional life that was harder when the two of you were sort of squabbling over this and that.
It was immediate. I just forgave her, and I thought, why have you been so silly all this time?
But let's use different words. Instead of saying, I forgave her, let's say what really happened. I stopped reacting to the mist that she was spewing because she stopped spewing the mist. Can you hear that? But still in that, it's a little conditional. In other words, we wish for all of you not to be reacting because there are always people around who have the potential of getting your goat, so to speak. And we want your goats to be ungettable. We want your buttons to be unpushable. We want your feelings to be unhurtable because you're mastering thought and therefore alignment. So another way of saying it is, I just let go of what was holding my cork under the water and then I felt better. It really is that simple.
And is that how you do it for yourself then? Because I feel sometimes like I have this struggle inside of me. I'm fighting against myself. Feel good, don't feel good. It's just...
About what?
Just about maybe, if I look at my mother, for example, did I do everything right when she was dying? Did I help her all that I could? Was I patient enough? And I feel like I blame myself and I'm...
Well, here's the thing. This is another very important way to understand the emotion of forgiveness or unforgiveness. When you feel emotion that feels awful to you, sort of like what you were just describing there.
Yes.
it always means that what you're focused upon, that your opinion about it, differs dramatically from what your inner being knows and is focused upon. So every time you feel negative emotion, that's what it means. It's not talking about the rightness or the wrongness of your behavior. When you feel negative emotion, it means your inner being doesn't agree. But it's not about your inner being agreeing about whether you did this or that right or wrong. It's that your inner being is not agreeing with you beating up on yourself about this here and now. You're going to go back and undo all of that and take back all those words and get her to say different words to you? Are you going to meet her before she even gave birth to you and make sure that she's in the receptive mode? Are you going to go back a generation and meet her mother and meet those that she lived with and make sure that they treated her well so that they were in the receptive mode so that she could be in the receptive mode so that you could be in the receptive mode? Going to go back and do all of that? Or are you just going to accept that they are now in the receptive mode and you've got a choice of being there or not? And you can find all kinds of reasons not to be there and beat up on yourself and experience what that feels like because your inner being sure isn't going there with you. Or you can find some other thoughts. You can change the subject altogether if that's what's necessary.
I do try to do that. I try to think about, I was grateful to her, all the things that she did for me. She was a wonderful mother in a lot of ways.
You see, it's like the conversation that we just had. Making someone else and how they are be the reason that you feel good or bad is true entrapment. And so sometimes someone comes into your life experience and just isn't willing to be what you need them to be in order for you to feel good. And so it gives you an opportunity to find a way into alignment unconditionally. Unconditional is the way to go. If you can figure out how to do it on this subject and this subject and this subject, life's going to start feeling really good to you and you're going to really begin to be free. But if you need one other person, even one other person, to be even the slightest bit different in order for you to feel good, then you are in deep trouble in regards to the way you feel as long as you are focused upon that person. Because they weren't born to please you. They were born to please themselves. They were born to create their own reality. And we know it feels complicated as you're intertwining, but that's why we're saying to you, it is so much more simple than most of you are allowing it to be. You can feel good anyway, and that's what unconditional feeling good is.
And I feel like I'm right there.
You are right there.
I'm right there. Like
you are
I can
right there.
almost get it, but I just, yeah.
You are right there. Just watch for it. Notice, it's interesting to watch the things that you react to. Sometimes a perfectly even-tempered person can have a strong reaction when someone cuts them off in traffic. You reacted to a condition. It doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean your life isn't going to continue to be good. It means you reacted to something that you can't control, and you haven't yet come to the understanding that it's not your job to control. So when you stop reacting and trying to control things that you can't control, and you begin getting into the receptive mode deliberately, because that is something that you can control, and then you start making the association between being there and how it plays out, or being here and how it plays out, now you're living life deliberately. And now it's more good every day, more good every day, more good every day. All good? Probably not, because there's going to be plenty of things that are going to come into your experience because you still want more expansion. You do. It'd be like being a really good artist and accepting the vortex as where all of the components of your artwork reside. And the way that the components get in there is by living life and putting them in. But now you've decided that you're never going to have negative emotion again. You're never going to feel bad about anything again. You're just going to get in this vortex and play it out. So you use all of the stuff up, and you paint all of the pictures, or you make all of the sculptures, and now you say, there's no more in here. Well, it's not going to happen to you because it's got enough for 20 or 30 lifetimes. But let's just play this silly game. There's no more in here. And we say, it's because you stopped living life. You stopped having experiences. You stopped knowing what you don't want so that you know what you do want. We want you to embrace step one as a good step. It is a good step. You see, we want you to stop beating up on yourself for anything, because your inner being never will. Your inner being is so pleased with the life that you are living and have lived, and what you've put into the vortex, and what it means in terms of expansion and joyous potential for you, that your inner being never looks back and tries to get you to have done something differently. Feel how counterproductive that would be. Everything source-oriented is forward-looking, you see. And when you start looking forward more than backward, you'll start feeling a whole lot better. When you stop trying to explain how you got to where you are and just decide from where you are where you now want to be, things will get really easy. You see what we're getting at? So you don't want to relive your childhood or relive your relationship. You just want to take it for what it is now. And what it is now, oh, you have the potential of having some really wonderful conversations and experiences with your mom looking in and having her opinion from where she now is. And when you line up with what she thinks now, you're really going to like it.
I would like to hear her and communicate with her. I talked to her when I'm with my son because she wasn't there when one of my sons was born. And so I'm trying to figure out how to get into that place.
So do you think that that means that she does not know him?
No, I'm sure she does.
Yeah. So don't tell that silly story anymore.
Okay.
That's the going back that we're talking about. You just went back and felt bad about something. And what we're saying is stay where you are and look forward.
Okay, so when I talk to her and say things, she always hears?
Every time. You're the only one that doesn't hear sometimes.
Okay.
You are the creator of your own reality. Seth said that to Jane and Rob. Jane doing something similar to what Esther is doing here. And when Jerry read those books, you create your own reality. His question is, I sort of kind of get that, but specifically how? Seth said, your point of power is in the present. Well, that made sense in some way, but what does it mean? What does it mean? And so Jerry, once they met us, and you can read about that or ask someone about it, or maybe we'll tell you about it if you really want to know. But as Jerry then began speaking with us and began asking those questions, how is it that we create our own reality? And what do you mean by our point of power is in the present? We began explaining bit by bit, by explaining who you really are, the whole of who you are, that you are far more than these physical bodies. You are not just these physical bodies, and you are not just this consciousness. You were source energy before you came into these bodies, and that source energy still remains non-physically focused while you are in these bodies, and is flowing to you and through you all day, every day. We began explaining that that's how your guidance system works, that the larger part of you is aware of what you're doing right now and what you're wanting right now, and is aware of the path of least resistance to lead you from where you are to where you want to be. We want you to understand that the path of least resistance means the path over and under and around and through the resistance that you and only you have put on your path. Your inner being and Abraham and source energy are never critical of the resistance that you have gathered up. We are just aware of it, and we know that it is a natural thing when you are in your physical body to be aware of things that you do not want. That's part of the process of determining what you do want. It's not wrong that you know what you don't want. It's good that you know what you don't want. But we want to help you to see that railing against what you don't want, pushing against anyone for any reason, only puts you, for the time that you're doing it, in a place that you cannot allow the full clarity and the full resources of your inner being, of the source energy that you have access to all day, every day. We've enjoyed this interaction more than any other ever, because of who you are and because it is the furthest, most leading edge of what we are all about together. It is so pleasing to acknowledge your desires. We are acknowledging the desire that you came here with, and the non-physical energy that you brought with you, and the power of the life that you have lived, and the vibrational reality that you have built. And we acknowledge the connection that you made here today as a result of the conversations that we had with so many. And we want to express our acknowledgement of the perfection of the unfolding of this day. Because any of you who have been wondering how to be the deliberate creator of your own experience have heard enough today. You have all the tools that you would ever need for the rest of your life in these very short period of time that we have been here today. You have come for the joy of this experience.